What's up, guys? Steve from Scroll Rips here. Wanted to hop on and take take some time to admit that maybe I was wrong about the 30th anniversary set. Originally, when the Classic Collection was released, those 30 cards, I wasn't very impressed. You know, they had the futuristic rares come out for the Mew and Mewtwo. And at first looks, I was like, okay. I mean, yeah, some of the cards are cool that they're going into the Classic Collection for. You get the Lugia, of course, based at Charizard. Some of the other, like the Misty's trainer card, some of the other nostalgic cards, but a lot of them seemed, like I mentioned in previous videos, that they're mostly centered around cards most known for like impact on the TCG gameplay, whether it be having won world championships or something like that. But they had like V's and regular EXs and GXs and that kind of stuff in there, and I was just like, all right. Yeah, I think I might have been wrong though. So, in case you guys missed it, there's been some leaks out there of what looks like photos of like those booklets that come in ETBs that show you the whole card list, and it shows you pictures of all the cards. And so it looks like we've seen the IRs and potentially SIRs in there, and I'm a lot more optimistic if those things are actually real. Um, None of the images looked like AI. They kind of looked like um, pictures taken with a cell phone. We had a leak of what people thought the Mew might be, and that showed up in the booklet as well, and it matched the image. Um, so the Mew, there looks like there's a Mewtwo SAR. It looks like there's a couple other Gengars in there. There's two Pikachu SIRs. It looks like um, it appeared to be illustration rares of all the legendary birds, the Moltres, Zapdos, Articuno, which I'm really partial to since I grew up in the Kanto era, and I just love a lot of those cards, especially the like team up or tag team versions of the cards that have all three of the legendary birds in them. So I think that's really cool. They have like a Jirachi, a Sylveon. The artworks look really good on those. I think there's an Lapras in there. Um, so I think that, I think maybe I was wrong. If all that's legitimate, then I have a lot more optimism about, what this set has to offer. Who knows? There could be additional secret rares or something like that out there that we're not um, fully aware of. Maybe they aren't offered in the regular set, you know what I mean? They could still have other promotionals. Um, so, just want to hop on here, make a quick video about that, and admit that maybe I'm wrong. So I can't wait to see some of that stuff. Hopefully, get to see it in person at some point. Can get hands on the product, and then also mention that who knows how long it's gonna last, or if it's already been changed or closed. But GameStop, it looks like they've dropped their prices, right? They had dropped the pre-order prices for 30th anniversary ETBs down to $100 from it had gotten up to $150 from what I saw, and then they had dropped the price on UPCs, I think, down to, I believe I saw like $400 when it had been up to 600. So, um, I'm not sure what dictated that. Usually, the only way a business is going to do that when they're already selling pre orders at that higher amount is if there's potential for them to get stuck with product. Um, and so they'll price it a little bit better, right, to make sure that it really moves and you're not left holding it on shelves. So um, that to me has a little bit adds a little optimism potentially there that maybe they're figuring out that they're getting more, or that their quantities were sufficient, or maybe it was just a sign that maybe the pre-sales weren't selling as much as they had anticipated, right? They got in as many as they could at the higher price point, and then things started to slow down, and then in order to keep pushing it out again, so that they're not left holding product on the shelves, maybe they lowered the price, but all pure speculation on my part with that. I hope they just printed so much of this stuff, back when, relative to the demand for the 25th anniversary, they printed out a ton of it. I could get my hands on stuff at MSRP pretty easily, years after the fact. Not sure that it'll quite be that case here, but hopefully they print it so heavily that there's not a real large secondary market. I know there is now in the pre-sales, because that's um, predicated on capitalizing on FOMO. Um, and I think that's one of the worst things you can do right before a set is even released, is um, to really get yourself into a position where you're kind of desperate there. So, and especially if you guys watch any of Danny Phantom's content, right? A lot of his stuff always talks about FOMO, with new sets coming out and all that, and even in the current environment, it's easy to catch yourself in a FOMO, but almost guarantee that if you don't panic spend, you'll be able to allocate your budget for collecting um, a lot more reasonably, right? Instead of panicking, paying $600 for the UPC, and then in reality, by the time we see all the cards come out and everything, you only wanted maybe a handful of the cards, and you could have gotten all of them, or at least the majority of them, buying the singles, something like that. So, within that $600 budget. So, it's all up to you guys individually. Everybody's different in how they want to collect. Believe me, I'd love to pull all the big hits, but sometimes if it's a specific card you want, you got to know when it's time to throw in the towel, and not go crazy overspending to try to pull it, and then just buy the single, right? Um, if it's more cost effective, makes more sense that way. So, um, excited for the set. Hopefully, like I said, we'll see it in person, and I'll be able to get my hands on them, on some of the products. But we shall see. Make sure, if you guys haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Help us grow the community here on YouTube. We're really trying to create a larger presence here on YouTube, and trying to be more consistent. At least getting a video out a week. Ideally, I'd be able to get a few out, but sometimes between time and then just kind of what the topics are, what's hot in the market. Sometimes a week or two in between them before really much is going on, right? So, stick with us. Hit that like and subscribe buttons, and make sure you tune in. Catch us anytime we are live. If you like to watch the live Rip and Ships, we're on TikTok, and we go live here on YouTube, at Scro Rips on both of those platforms. And appreciate you guys' support so far, and hope you all having a great summer. See ya.